USA Board of Academics. Today we take a look at the harsh reality of police brutality. We look at names like Oscar Grant celebrating New Year's with his family, who got shot in his back while he was handcuffed. We take a look at Keith Lamont Scott in Charlotte, who was walking backwards, and it was stated in the report that he had a gun in his hand. But on the video, you couldn't really tell. The lawyer and the family both said he didn't have a gun. So that case is a little sketchy, but this video is more on responsibility than police brutality itself. And then we take a look at Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy with a fake gun that wasn't relayed to the officers correctly. It was said that the dispatcher said there's a man with a gun waving it, but that seemed not to be the case. So when the officers stepped up to the scene, their mentality was, man with a gun, we gotta stop the issue at hand. And now we go into discussion of the responsibility of police brutality and everything that goes with it.
Well, obviously we've seen over the past few years the light of the media shone on issues of excessive force by the police. And I think one thing we need to look at is what we are doing to adequately screen and hire and then train our police officers, because what we are doing is insufficient. And Mr. Crockett just mentioned, for example, the case in Cleveland of the shooting death of Tamir Rice, a 12-year-old boy who was waving an airsoft toy gun. The police officer who fired the fatal shot was former Cleveland police officer Timothy Lohman, who never should have been hired by the Cleveland police. He failed to disclose on his Cleveland police application that he had been allowed to resign from Independence Police Department after only 6 months, after a determination from a number of incidents in Independence that he was psychologically unfit to be a police officer. Cleveland, if they had communicated with other police departments, if they'd done adequate background screening, would have never hired Officer Bowman. And there are many incidents like that around the country. The other thing is that we do not adequately train our police officers. Police Academy in Ohio is approximately 600 hours mandated by the state. And after that, after passage of the state exam, an officer is now given a badge and a gun and sent out to patrol our streets. In the state of Ohio, to be a cosmetologist or a barber, an individual has to go through almost 3 times that amount of training. So we are getting what we pay for at this point in our policing.
What I wanted to add in with what she said, I feel like the tension between officers and the black community is very hard right now, because, for example, the dispatchers, they really need to start communicating a lot better with the officers on duty. And also, with the tension between police officers and the community, nowadays you see that the black community, they're scared to even walk down the street, or they're scared to even be approached by an officer, because you don't know, you're afraid. You don't know if you're going to walk out of this situation alive or not. So nowadays, it's like you're scared to even talk to police. You're scared to be approached by the police and have a confrontation by the police, because now you have a lot of police officers that are trigger happy now. And for a good example, the recent case with Stephon Clark, the dispatchers did not give a good description, and the police were out looking for that suspect that was basically burglaring cars and robbing cars, and Stephon Clark did not fit that description. And yes, he ran, but at the same time you hear all these arguments, oh, if you're so innocent, why did you run? But you gotta look at it, like I keep saying, the tension is very hard. So being a black man and being chased by an officer when you did not do anything wrong, you're scared, because at night you're scared that a police officer is chasing after you, and they're on a hunt and a mission to look for a certain suspect. And if you're a black man at night in the wrong place at the wrong time, with an officer's adrenaline running like that, it's a very good chance that you're afraid that you might lose your life. And recently, I just learned that the autopsy came back from his body, seeing that, yes, they shot at him 20 times, and only 8 of them hit him. All 8 hit him in the back. So for them to have said that, oh, they feared for their life and they thought he had a gun, how can you really fear for your life and see him as a threat while he's turned away from you and you shooting straight into his back? And at that time, when he's laying on the ground, they waited, what, 10 minutes before even calling the EMT and handcuffed his dead body. So for things like that to happen, it's really frowned upon now by the community. And then a lot of these officers are really not getting indicted or not getting in trouble, and a lot of the black community is losing faith within the police department.
I wanted to comment, and I'm sorry, Josh, to jump in, but I wanted to comment on what Calvin just said. And going back to the training that we offer our police officers, if you look at the curriculum mandated by the state of Ohio, for example, in our police academy, what we show the police cadets is situation after situation of police officers being harmed by this. And we emphasize that. And I think we are, to a large extent, training our officers to be afraid, to be wary, to profile. And what we are not emphasizing enough in the training of our officers is communication with the people that they are supposed to be protecting and serving.
And so I think it needs to be a better communication between the police department and the community.
Well, I agree the dispatchers need to be trained, but at the same time, the community don't take the steps they need to work with their department. We have African Americans fearing the cops, but at the same time, they call the cops when their house gets broken into. It don't look right. It's like, oh, you could hate someone, but when you need them to be there. You get attitude when they don't show up. We have justifications for some of the actions, but not all. Yes, if he didn't do it, he should have complied with the police instead of ran. He chose to run away. And like you said, officers shoot, yeah, that was wrong for him to shoot him in the back. At the same time, why is he running if he didn't do anything?
Like I just said, he ran. It's not just him, any other person, but any other black person, that black male or female. It's the fear. It's the fear of not knowing how the outcome is going to be. And you're a black man, and at night, while police are literally out there chasing and looking for a suspect that's pretty much breaking into cars.
What do you have to fear if you didn't commit a crime?
That's the thing. If you're a black man, you have that fear.
Clearly, I don't. Like, okay, that's maybe your opinion. Not everyone feels the same way you do.
Okay.
A lot of people feel that way, but
Okay. In the Tamir Rice case, the family settled out for $6 million, and the dispatcher got suspended for 8 days. Taking a look at that case, do you think it was handled in the right manner? Do you think money solved that problem? Do you think the dispatcher getting suspended for 8 days solved that problem?
no.
No, and I think if you look at the consent agreement that the city of Cleveland has had to enter with the U.S. Department of Justice, the Tamir Rice case was part of the reason that the city of Cleveland is now in that situation. And if you look at the results of that, the city of Cleveland has not held up its part in that agreement. Its steps toward correcting the issues have been woefully inadequate.
No. You think it was handled in the right manner?
Not at all. I get that the dispatcher was suspended, but at the same time, like and seeing from the surveillance videos, from my opinion, I also feel it was wrong because, yes, the dispatcher gave a horrible description, but within those, 5-8 seconds, he was shot when the car was pulling up. The car wasn't even stopped yet. It was still in motion when they shot him out the window. And for me, looking at, I guess, my opinion, my experience is looking at the inside of a police car, you see that for that to happen, they automatically had to have their gun drawn already when they pulled up. The officers had to have his gun out already. And yeah, at the same time, it was the parents' fault for getting him the gun. It was his fault for taking the orange safety off. But for him to be shot automatically when the car is being pulled up, not even stopped yet, it shouldn't have happened.
Josh?
I feel like we should have better training for the dispatchers. For the cop situation, I have to agree with you guys. Yes, he never should have been working.
Okay. Now, the onus, as we said, was on responsibility. There's two sides to this story. Yes, the cops shouldn't have been working, and yes, they could have handled it better through all departments in America as far as the police are concerned. But as a police officer, once you have that fear for your life, you're told, it's top behavior, you're told by any means necessary, get the job done. Because at the end of the day, they have to go home to their family just like you have to go home to your family. So in the back of a police officer's mind, when he fears for his life, he takes certain actions to make sure he's safe. And maybe it's not the right action, but it's the right action to him. So everybody's opinion is important, and that's all I gotta say. Just more communication throughout the public and the police department. Because what I think should happen, I mean, I think we already do this in some places, but take a citizen from the community and have him run a specific division where that communication can be key. And the police get the citizen side, and the citizens get the police officer side. And they can better come to a compromise on how they will build the community up and how a police officer can react to a certain citizen when he's stopping them or when he get a description of them.
My question is, do you feel that the justice system is pretty much broken when you see all these actions that the police take, and a lot of times they're wrong, but no matter what it is, a police officer will, no matter what, they will always go to their fail-safe. I thought he had a gun, or he was resisting arrest. So that automatically always justifies their actions. And with some of these cases where the officer was unlawful, no matter what, they always never get indicted. They never get in trouble for it. And with me saying that, that's a part of the community being afraid, because all these actions are being done to these to the black community, and nothing is happening at all. None of these officers are getting in trouble and paying for their actions. So that's something that contributes to the community being afraid of being approached by a police officer nowadays. And
if we would have better communications for the community.
Yeah, you're right.
If the community would work with the officers, we'd have a better understanding, but they choose not to.
I mean, you're right about that. I agree with you. But if you would say, if someone is innocent, why should they run? You would have to actually experience something like that and understand.
Would you run?
Yes, I would. If
you was innocent,
at night, if an officer has his gun out chasing people, and I am a black man at night when they're looking for a suspect, I would run, because I know that at the end of the day, there's a 9% chance I will be shot.
Okay, no,
Okay.
that's not 100 though.
Not 100.
Okay.
Not 100%.
Okay.
Do you have anything to say about the communication between the community and the police department itself?
Obviously, I think we need better communication. I certainly, obviously, have never had the experience of being African American or a male, but I know that by virtue of being a white woman, I have had the privilege of a much different experience in my interactions with the police.
At this point, we're going to get ready to wrap up, so if anybody has anything they would like to add to this video that's already not been said, then we can do that. Anybody got something to say?
I feel like the community needs to work with the police officers better. That's it.
Calvin, you got anything to say?
Same thing, the dispatchers need more training, they need more communication with the officers. A lot of these officers that keep getting off, they need to be punished for the unlawful actions that they take.
I agree, better selection, better education, more accountability.
More training, more communication is the key to responsibility of police brutality. This is the end of BSA discussion panel. Please follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, BAC21BAC, BAC Kings, and